the Heisman favorites.
Okay.
So this is what we'll do. I will list my top favorites, and you'll list your top favorites, and then we'll kind of see where we kind of don't agree or we do agree on. So I'll start with my list. I'll do 6 actually, because I want to do an honorable mention. I got in this order. I got Bryce Young, Zach Charbonnet from UCLA, Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson, CJ Schroed, and my honorable mention is Jack Cohen from Notre Dame.
Yeah, we have one similar on that list. However, I didn't go as deep as you, but I do have a couple honorable mentions that I can add into this. One of which was Jack Cohen. I think he looked really good against Florida State. For me, it's Bryce Young. After 1 week, it's Bryce Young. Yeah. That kid looked unreal.
It's ridiculous.
My number 2 right now, though, favorite, or at least who I think after 1 week, is Desmond Ritter from Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
I think that kid is a stud, and I know we like to compare mobile quarterbacks, guys who can kind of facilitate and improvise with their legs, but also have great arms. And the 2 that come to mind really are Desmond Ritter and then Spencer Rattler. I think Desmond Ritter is better than Spencer Rattler. I know that Spencer Rattler is going to get higher profile games playing at Oklahoma, which therefore kind of lends him a little bit better to Heisman talk. But Rattler didn't look good against Tulane. That's for damn sure. He threw 2 interceptions, a couple bad throws that could have been picked. 5-point win when they were 31-point favorites. I don't necessarily think it ended his Heisman run, but it certainly put him behind the 8 ball a little bit for the rest of the season. Luckily, he gets games against teams like Texas and Iowa State to really boost that back up. But I got Ritter number 2. I also like Breece Hall. I just don't know. Like, for running backs to get Heisman love, they need like historical seasons.
That's true.
That's the only downside of it. Like, he could rush for 1,500 yards and 20 touchdowns, and he'll get like 2 Heisman votes. So it's that difficult for running backs to get Heisman looks. Yeah. But if anybody's going to find themselves in that conversation at the end of the year, it's going to be Breece Hall. And then right now, my dark horse after 2 weeks, Dorian Thompson-Robinson from UCLA. Chip Kelly has got that kid playing great football. Yeah. I think he's only going to continue to get better. And then when he gets to line up against he gets to line up against Arizona State, he gets to line up against Utah, he gets to line up against USC and Oregon in these major, Pac-12 games, and he balls out in those. You're going to find him. You're going to find him in that end conversation. So Dorian Thompson-Robinson's my dark horse, but right now it's Bryce Young. He's number 1.
Yeah, and you make a good point about the running backs making a case. Like, Jonathan Taylor had one of the most prolific careers as a running back, and his best season, he wasn't even invited to be at the ceremony.
There was one season Monty Ball had like 28 rushing touchdowns.
He had like 2,500 rushing yards.
Melvin Gordon has like more rushing touchdowns in the history of college football than anybody, and he never even got it. Like, it's just how running backs go. And like, if you're gonna be a running back who wins a Heisman, you got to be a Reggie Bush type guy. You got to be able to do it everywhere.
To me, Heisman kind of reminds the MVP. It's just how much value you also bring to your team. So if you're obviously the star of the team and winning is dependent solely on you, you're going to get the most attention and the most votes.
Yeah.
To talk about Bryce Young, he was sensational. He didn't miss a beat. It looked like he's been the starter for years. 4 TDs and 344 yards against a Miami that's very predominantly good at the defensive side. I always like the turnover chain, but that didn't show up very often that day.
It's really a testament. It's just Nick Saban runs a machine. It's plug and play. It doesn't matter who my quarterback is. It doesn't matter who the receivers are. It doesn't matter who the running back is. They just go out there, and they're the best team on the field.
Yeah.
It's like it's a level of expectation there that you don't see anywhere else. The level of expectation at Alabama is that we will step out on the field from minute 1 of the season, quarter 1, game 1, and we're the best team on the field. And anything less is unacceptable.
Yeah, so pretty much. It's the standard. It's the Alabama standard, and he delivers every time. That's why he's the highest paid college coach.
Man's gonna have 10 championships by the time it's all said and done.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
I mentioned I had Zach Charbonnet from UCLA.
Yeah.
I watched so weird. Like I never watched UCLA games until this season. I watched both games, and he torched both teams.
Yeah, he looked really good against LSU.
And the one against Hawaii, sure, it's Hawaii. They're not the best power school. But 3 TDs, and he averaged 17 yards per carry.
That game was in Hawaii, though, wasn't it?
It was.
So you go to Hawaii, which even from California is a 5-hour time difference or 4-hour time difference or whatever. Like, I know that like they're both West Coast level like type teams, but like still going to Hawaii is not the easiest thing, even if you're a California team. So like that's a tough place to play.
And even for them, it's just tough because like they constantly have to go over the ocean to play. They go as far as like New Mexico, and Hawaii actually played UCLA at UCLA.
It was at UCLA. Okay.
So that makes a little bit more sense. But like even though just for any team that is part of this Hawaiian schedule, it's just ridiculous. But like back to him though, like he played against LSU. Sure, he only got 1 TD, but he still averaged 10.7 yards.
Yeah,
that's hard to do against a ranked team.
I think it's important to also note, and this has to do with kind of where UCLA is heading as a program in general. The fact that we've now mentioned 2 different UCLA players as potential Heisman candidates, both Charbonnet and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And Chip Kelly has a track record of putting players in Heisman conversations. Marcus Mariota won one.
That's right.
LaMichael James, the running back. LaMichael James was like 2nd or 3rd one year in the Heisman conversation. Like Chip Kelly can do this with both positions, and UCLA seems to be on that trajectory again with Chip Kelly as their head coach.
Yeah, and it was very strange. It's like right after Josh Rosen left, Chip Kelly became the head coach. They started slow, but now they're reemerging again.
Yeah, building a program is always difficult, and especially for a team like UCLA where you are heavy in a recruiting battle against USC right across the street, basically. And then Oregon recruits LA almost as good as USC does because it's all the kids who want to be Nike athletes because Oregon is just dripped in Nike. So like you're recruiting against 2 major college programs when you're one, the lesser of the 3 to begin with, and now have to try and overcome that in a recruiting battle. And against Stanford. I mean, you got to recruit against Stanford too, so it's tough. But Chip Kelly's doing a great job. It did take a couple, a season or 2, but this year, I mean, they look like every bit of a Pac-12 contender.
I do want to touch on. Oh, you know what? So I wanted to mention Spencer Rattler. You brought him up. To me, Spencer Rattler, it's really hard because when you compare Spencer Rattler, you always compare him to the predecessors, being Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts for 1 year. And when I see him in that kind of in this group of players, he doesn't come off to me as the best one of all those guys.
Oh no, he's definitely not. That's Kyler for sure.
And I think he has the best arm, but he's just not a complete project, and I'm not sure when it's going to happen.
He's the biggest, so he's well above 6 feet.
Oh, that's true.
He's
They're
like
all
he's like
guys.
6'2", but Baker, Kyler, and Jalen are all 6 foot standing on high heels. Like they're not big guys. This is by far the biggest. I think I would say the biggest, or at least from a height standpoint, quarterback that Lincoln Riley's had. It's also probably, I mean, which goes to say I think why people are so high on him is like Lincoln Riley literally made Baker Mayfield into a number 1 overall pick. Lincoln Riley literally made Kyler Murray into the number 1 overall pick. Lincoln Riley took a guy like Jalen Hurts, who most people at the beginning of the season probably had like a fringe 3rd-day pick, and he made him a top 50 pick.
And a Heisman candidate. I think people are like infatuated with the fact that Rattler is this kind of prototypical NFL quarterback build in a way that Baker, Jalen, and Kyler were not. And they're like, holy cow, what is he going to be able to do with this guy? But at the end of the day, I'm not quite sure Rattler is the same player as those guys. I think all 3 of those guys had more natural football instincts, especially Baker Mayfield. I mean, that Baker Mayfield's like Jesus would turn water into wine at times. Like it was pretty crazy. It was fun to watch. Baker was like Johnny Manziel in so many ways, at least from like when they were in college, not necessarily in the pros. But like the ability to create something out of nothing, I don't necessarily see that in Rattler the way that,
you did in previous guys.
Yeah.
Because, like, Oklahoma's offense is always going to be open. It's going to be 5 wide. There's always going to be somebody wide open. So if you can make those throws, that's fine. But, like, when that throw's not, there, or you miss that first read, or you miss, pocket collapses quickly on a blitz, like, what can you do for me? I don't know if Rattler's doing for me the way that those other 3 guys did.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't react well to pressure, essentially, which is what caused him to throw the interceptions, and he's not as good as extending.
He gets happy feet.
Right.
Yeah.
That's fine. He still can throw some big numbers, and he has that arm talent I mentioned. It's just a matter of he can just be more situationally aware of what's going on. And, like, if I were to, like, kind of rank the best one of the Oklahoma quarterbacks, I'm going to give it to Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, to me, he was just a Swiss Army knife. You taking a video of me?
No, dude, I was just taking a picture.
Kyler Murray was a Swiss Army knife. He had the arm talent, and he had the wheels. Like, he wasn't like Lamar Jackson with his legs, but he had the acceleration. He can get from point A to point B in a blink of an eye. And then I want to talk about Jack Cohen because that was my honorable mention. He was sensational with Notre Dame, and it's just maybe I'm just overreacting because my Wisco bias. He used to be the starting quarterback until they passed over to Graham Mertz. And people ask, why did they move from Jack Cohen to Graham Mertz? The thing about Jack Cohen is he was the safest choice.
Yeah.
He minimized turnovers, and he kept the ball safe. But Graham Mertz was the one that was going to change the quarterback mold. Since Russell Wilson left, Wisco quarterbacks have been in a system where they're not designed to thrive. It's all at the run game first. Just ask Melvin Gordon, Monte Ball, Jonathan Taylor. So Jack Cohen obviously just didn't fit in that system, and Graham Mertz was going to be that guy to propel the passing offense. But honestly, I think Wisco doesn't know how to coach quarterbacks.
No, they don't.
Jack Cohen knew that. That's why he went to the transfer portal.
Yeah, Jack Cohen is a talented quarterback who just needed a different system.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all it is.
Right.
And, I mean, he was making NFL throws.
Oh, yeah.
On Friday night, or on Sunday night. Sunday night, he was making NFL level throws, dropping dimes into tight coverage. It was pretty impressive. I was impressed.
I was too.
I was impressed with that. If he's going to play like that all season, Notre Dame's not going to be easy. Notre Dame's not going to be an easy victory for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, if he's playing like that, it's pretty clear to me that he is the proper successor to Ian Book. Because Ian Book was a good quarterback, but he never was a great one.
Well, Ian Book was the reason why they were good again. He wasn't the reason. I mean, his limitations were the reason why they were never going to be a national championship contender. But I mean, Ian Book certainly got you in the conversation.
Right. So let's transition over to our predictions for each Power 5 championship. Let's see. We'll kind of do the same thing with the